research methodology for management decisions is a domain where strategic choices as well as informed judgments shape the course of organizations. It serves as a compass that guides managerial decisions and offers a systematic approach to gathering, analyzing, and interpreting data to drive effective strategies and actions. Whether it is identifying market trends or evaluating operational efficiency or devising market strategies, research methodology provides a framework for generating insights as well as understanding the underlying factors that influence managerial decisions. At its core, research methodology for management decisions is about asking the right questions, employing the appropriate methods, and deriving actionable insights to address organizational challenges and opportunities. It encompasses a diverse array of techniques from qualitative approaches like interviews or case studies to quantitative methods like surveys and statistical analysis. And in this session, we will look into the fundamental principles of research methodology that is tailored specifically for management decisions. We will be exploring how to formulate research questions which align with our organization's objectives, select the most suitable research design, and employ various data collection and analysis techniques to uncover meaningful insights. And moreover, we will examine the role of ethics in research, emphasizing the importance of integrity, transparency, and respect for stakeholders' rights throughout this research process. And by upholding such ethical standards, we can ensure the reliability as well as validity of our findings, fostering trust and credibility in managerial decision making. If you are new to this channel, I am Anu, your guide and facilitator for this course. Welcome to Anu's Classroom. I run this small but growing YouTube channel, which is aimed at providing IGNOU students overcome the limitations of distance learning by providing you guys with quality content that will not just help you pass your exams with good grades, but also help you understand the concepts that are being taught as per the IGNOU's curriculum so that you become better managers of tomorrow. So let us embark on this journey, fueled by curiosity, guided by rigor, and driven by the pursuit of excellence in managerial decision making. Together, we will unlock new perspectives, unearth hidden opportunities, and chart a course towards success in this dynamic world of business management. Are you ready? So, let me provide you guys with a preview of what awaits us throughout this session. This entire course that we will be covering of MMPC 15 in this one session is basically divided into 4 blocks, each offering crucial insights into the various research methodologies that are used in managerial decision making process. And in total, this entire course of MMPC 15 has been divided into 14 units. Now, this is a condensed overview. We will be quickly going through all the important concepts that are mentioned in this particular course. This is meant as a quick roundup session, okay, to give you an overview of what is being said in this particular course. If you are looking for a more detailed explanation on each of these units, then you have the MMPC 15 course in the channel, Anu's Classroom itself. You can find it in the playlist. You are free to go and look over there. There we will be taking up each unit in depth and we will be talking. This is a rapid roundup. Okay, so in the block 1, which is Introduction to Research Methodology, we will talk about the foundational understanding of research methodology and emphasize the significance as well as guiding principles. Then we'll walk through the systematic steps that are involved in conducting a research and ensure a structured approach to our investigative endeavors. This particular course is very much important, not just from term and examination perspective, but also from your project perspective. If you are doing MBA, then definitely in this semester, third semester, you are supposed to start with your project work. So for that also, this MMPC 15 is going to help you out. And then we will explore the various design frameworks that researchers can employ to shape their studies. In block 2, data collection and measurement, we will look into the methods and techniques of gathering data. We will cover a spectrum of data collection methods that are suitable for different research contexts. And we will focus on the intricacies of measuring attitudes and designing appropriate scales for measuring attitudes. In questionnaire designing unit, I will help you or guide you in crafting effective questionnaires for your research, and in sampling and sampling designs, we will explore the critical aspects of selecting representative samples for our research. In the third block, data presentation and analysis, we will be exploring few tools and techniques for processing as well as interpreting the data that we collected using the methods we said in block 2. We will cover the steps that are involved in organizing as well as preparing data for our analysis. We will also introduce to statistical methods that are suitable for various types of data, and also explore the advanced techniques for analyzing relationships within multivariate data sets. And finally, in the fourth block, report writing and presentation, we will address the crucial aspects of communicating our research findings with others. We will also emphasize the ethical considerations that are integral to our research process, as well as I will help you in understanding how you can structure the content of your research reports effectively as per our course. We will explore different reporting formats and provide insights into presenting our research findings in a clear as well as compelling manner. I am so much thrilled to embark on this journey with you, and I am confident that together we will gain a deeper understanding of various research methodologies and be ready to drive the success and profitability in our future organizations. Now, before we delve into our discussions, I kindly ask you to take a moment to ensure that you have subscribed to this channel and enabled notifications. Because by doing so, you can ensure that you will never miss an update from Anu's classroom, and in this way, you can fully utilize all the resources I provide to support your learning journey towards earning your postgraduate degree from IGNOU. Feel free to leave your comments, questions, or suggestions below. I'm here to help you out, so don't hesitate to ask anything. But just remember to keep your comments or whatever it is, your communication, respectful and professional, like you would in your future managerial role. So think of this as a practice session for your communication skills as a manager while you're writing or sharing your comments or questions or suggestions. Okay? So, research. Research, simply put, is like being a detective in the business world. It is about digging deep and gathering data, analyzing it, and finding answers to specific questions or challenges. You can think of it as a structured investigation which is aimed at solving problems or making decisions with confidence. Now, why is this research important, you might ask? Well, imagine you are the CEO of a company, that is faced with the decision of launching a new product. Research is what will help you in minimizing the uncertainty by providing you with valuable insights into the market trends, the customer preferences, and competitor strategies. Now, without this data, how will you know which is the right product that you have to launch, whether it is the right time to launch this product or not? Correct? Now, in this moment, say for example, you are the CEO of a mobile phone manufacturing company. If you do not know how the world is growing, if you just came out of a black box and you are thinking of launching a new cell phone which is not a smartphone, is it going to take your company forward? Questionable, correct? So you need to know the current trends, and what gives you the current trends, what gives you the data that can help you make right decisions is this research methodology. It is like having a roadmap that can guide you through this decision-making process and help you make sure that the decisions are correct. In fact, research is like the Swiss Army knife for a business, which helps us in tackling a wide range of challenges. Whether it is figuring out how to boost your sales in a particular specific market segment, or optimizing your production processes, or even venturing into new businesses or new markets, research is your go-to tool. That is your best friend. Now let us talk about the different areas where research shines in the business world. If you are hearing some background noise, I am extremely sorry about that. I am recording this in the morning and I live next to the highway, so it is bound to be very noisy. I am extremely sorry about that. Please bear with me. Anyways, coming back to our discussion. The different areas where research shines, right, in the business world, that is what we were going to talk. So from marketing to production, or banking to human resource development, and even government policies, even your government, the bills, the acts, the laws, or whatever suggestions or whatever they come up with, right? Everything, the government policies even. Research is what plays a crucial role in making informed decisions across the board. Take marketing research, for example, right? What is marketing research all about? It is all about understanding the customer's behavior, the consumer's behavior, forecasting the demand, measuring whether the advertisements you have put out is effective or not, and identifying opportunities for new products. And without this research, companies would be flying blind, making decisions based on pure guesswork rather than data-driven insights. Similarly, take another example, right? Production research. What is production research useful for? It will help companies determine what to produce, how much to produce, and when to produce it. And by identifying these most efficient production methods or cost effective materials, research ensures that products are of high quality, produced at the right time, at the right cost, in the right amount. But research is not just about making decisions, right? It is also about managing risks. Every company, whether it is big, small, faces risk. We all know that. Whether it is market volatility or supply chain disruptions or regulatory challenges, whatever it may be, there are risks. And research will help you identify such potential risks and develop strategies that mitigate them. So now if you have identified risk, if there is some method, some means, some tool to help you identify risk, then definitely you can start planning on how to mitigate them, correct? So while also uncovering opportunities for growth and innovation, research also helps us identify potential risk and how to mitigate them. So in a nutshell, research is the backbone of informed decision making in businesses. It provides us with a structure for our decision making and helps us minimize the uncertainty and uncover new ideas and insights. Be it marketing strategies or production process, whatever it is, research is the secret weapon that can enable organizations to navigate the challenges, seize those opportunities, and ultimately lead the business to success. So remember, in the world of business, knowledge is power, and research is your key to unlocking that knowledge, right? All right. So now let us explore those steps which are involved in conducting a systematic and effective research. I know by now you have understood the importance that research plays in business. So let us see how you can conduct a very systematic and effective research. There are a few steps involved, right? At least I can give you at least 7 steps. So let us see what are those 7 steps. First step is to identify the problem, the research problem for which you need to undertake the research. This is where everything begins. You have to clearly understand what problem you are trying to solve or what question you are seeking answers to. Only then you can do this. Review the literature. So, one thing that you must understand is that no matter what your problem is, there might be plenty of other people before you who have had the same problem. There is absolutely no requirement to build or to reinvent the wheel. Many people before us would have faced the same problem, and many people after us also would face the same problem. Maybe the situations are different, maybe the people involved or the factors involved might be different, but essentially the core might be the same. So, nothing in business, you must understand, is starting from scratch. We are not starting from scratch here. There will be research findings prior to us dealing with similar problems, if not exactly the same, similar problems. After us also there would come similar problems. So we also have to document our research, correct? We are documenting our research as reports, and those reports will be used as the literature. That is what is we are meaning by literature. Okay, for others who are yet to come. So reviewing the literature means reviewing the existing research to see what has already been discovered and see whether those findings can be applied for us, or if there are gaps, then we have to identify those gaps and what insights we can build upon. Correct? So that is the second step, reviewing of literature, assessing the existing knowledge. Third step is to formulate our research problems. Now that we have a better understanding of the landscape, we have to clearly define our research problem and formulate it in terms of a hypothesis that we can test. How to formulate those hypotheses and all, we will come to it later, but for now, just understand you have to clearly define your problem. You identified the research problem in the first step. You checked whether similar researches have been conducted or not and what are the findings from there in the second step. And with these two knowledge, with the knowledge gained from these two steps, you can formulate, you can write down what your problem is or what you hope to achieve from the new research that you are conducting. That is formulation of the research problem. Now, the fourth step is to develop a research design. This is our roadmap for the journey that lies ahead. We will outline how we will collect and analyze our data, including our approach, our strategy, all the methods and techniques that we will be using. The fifth step is to collect the data. It is time to roll up our sleeves and gather the information we need to test that research problem, our hypothesis, and draw conclusions. And the sixth step is to analyze the data. With our data in hand, we will crunch the numbers, right? We will look at the numbers, we will look for patterns, draw meaningful insights that will help us answer the research question we formulated in step 3, right? And as the last step, we have to report our findings. Our journey is complete here. It is time to share our discoveries with the world, making it a new literature for the others to come, for the upcoming researchers to use. We will present our findings in a very clear and concise manner, making sure to communicate the conclusions and recommendations that we have very much effectively. Now let us talk about the importance of each of these steps. Right? I hope you got an idea of the steps that are involved in this research process. In a good research process, what are the steps that you have to involve? I hope you're clear with it. Now let us talk about the importance of each of these steps. Now the research problem is the stage for everything that follows. So it is important that you get it right. A clear and precise problem statement is what ensures our research is focused and relevant. The literature review is like our guiding light, helping us navigate through this vast sea of knowledge, all the various people who have conducted research, everybody creating reports of their own. We will also be adding to that pile and creating our own report once our research is completed, right? So there is a vast sea of knowledge here with us available today. And this literature review is like that guiding light, helping us navigate through this vast sea of knowledge and identifying the best path forward. It not only informs our research problems, but it also helps shape our research design. Isn't it true? If I give you a sample of something, it becomes easier for you to create something of your own from that sample, right? That is the whole point of having a lot of templates, right? If you go and open a Word document or a in a Google Doc, you will see a lot of templates with pre-written fonts and colors and images and things like that, bullets and everything. Then it becomes very easy for us rather than starting from the blank document, correct? So this literature review is like that. Looking at what previously what was done, we will get an idea of what we can do much better, correct? So speaking of this research design is our blueprint for success. Why is it a blueprint? Because it outlines how we will gather our data, analyze it, and ensure that we stay on track and follow the systematic approach. And finally, reporting our findings is our chance to share our insights with the world. By presenting our conclusions and recommendations clearly as well as concisely, we can ensure that our research has a meaningful impact and it contributes to this body of knowledge, that sea of knowledge. We are adding one more bucket of water into our sea of this research sea, right, into our literature, contributing to this knowledge. So in short, we can say that the research process is like a journey of discovery for a business, where each step plays a crucial role in ensuring its success. And by following these steps diligently, thoughtfully, we also can conduct research which is very systematic and effective as well as impactful. Alright, now let us talk about the research designs and how the research designs can help us study the cause and effect relationships among variables. Okay. Now, there are three main types of research designs that you have to be aware about. Exploratory research design, descriptive research design, and experimental research design. Each of this design technique serves a unique purpose and it has its own set of assumptions as well as characteristics. First up, let us look at the exploratory research design. This design is, you can think of it as like dipping our toes, dipping our feet into the unknown waters of research problem. Okay, why is it like that? Because see, you dip your toe or you dip your finger, right? If you see a bucket of water, before doing anything with that bucket of water, at least we will check whether it is hot or cold. So we dip our finger, right? We dip our toes. What are we doing here? We are exploring. We are trying to get an idea about the characteristics of the water in that tumbler before we consume it. Correct? It is used when, so just like that, this exploratory research design you can think of. It is used where when we are not quite sure about the problem and we want to explore it further. It is very flexible. It is a very flexible research design because it allows us to gather information from various sources. We will start this research design. This research, exploratory research is started with absolutely no preconceived notions, and our journey is guided by pure curiosity, right? We want to explore. We use non-probability sampling. When we are doing exploratory research, we generally use non-probability sampling. What is this non-probability sampling and things like that? If you are unclear, well, we have touched upon this in our first semesters. I hope you remember, but if in case you do not, then do not worry. We will be touching upon them in the coming in the coming time. In this session itself, we will be touching upon them. So do not worry about that in case you are if you forgot also. Just understand that there is one type of sampling method called as non-probability sampling, and in exploratory research design, we use this non-probability sampling. We will be taking up unstructured instruments for our observation. Unstructured means because it is exploratory, we do not know, we will be going wherever the wind takes us. So we cannot use a very structured questionnaire or structured survey questionnaire, something like that. It is like more or less like an interview. I ask you something, you reply something, and based on your reply, I form the next question. So that kind of unstructured instrument, in unstructured data collection tool we will use. Instrument for observation. What are the various instruments for observation in research? That is your questionnaires, your interviews, all those surveys, such things, right? And there is, in this exploratory research design, there is no pre-planned design also for analysis. Depending upon the data you collected, you will come up with the best suitable analysis tools and you will analyze it. That is about exploratory research design. Now let us talk about the descriptive research design. Okay, so this design is all about painting a detailed picture of a population or a particular phenomenon. It is like putting together a puzzle. Okay, this descriptive research design, you can think of it as putting together a puzzle. Piece by piece you are putting it all together to reveal the bigger picture. So it is more rigid. This descriptive research is more rigid than if you compare the exploratory research design, right? Because it requires us to follow a pre-planned design for our analysis. We will have a clear understanding of the problem that we want to describe, and we will be describing it in detail. And here we will be using probability sampling and very structured instruments for observation. Why? Because we know something, we want to describe more about it. We want to talk more about it, find out more things about it. It is like a drilling down. But exploratory research design is like what you can say, spread across. But descriptive is you're drilling down. You're describing it more and more. It is drilling down. Okay. So we need to have a very pre-planned approach towards such descriptive research design. So if you want to find more about, say for example, if you want to find more about a particular thing, you will only be asking questions that are in relation, which are relevant to your research topic, right? If anything else gets deviated, we do not go behind it, right? That is why it is having a very structured approach. It is rigid. It is not flexible. Then the third type of research design that we said we will be speaking about was the experimental research design. So let us talk about that. This design is like conducting a science experiment in the lab or maybe out in the field also. It is used when we want to test a particular hypothesis of some relationship. We think that, say, sales and lighting, the amount of lighting in a retail shop and the sales that is going and the sales that we are seeing in that particular retail shop, say for example, we feel like there is some relationship is there between these two things, the amount of lighting and the sales that we are getting, but we are not exactly sure. So we want to see if there is a relationship, actually if there is a relationship, and if there is, then to what degree. In such cases, we will be conducting an experiment, right? So that is experimental research design. It is suitable for such questions or such research problems. So what we will do? We will set up controlled procedures to reduce any sort of bias that could happen and help increase the reliability of our findings, allowing us to draw conclusions about this relationship. Causality. Causality means relationship, you can understand in very, very layman terms, right? So we will have a clear understanding of the problem that we want to test. Okay, that specific hypothesis we will know, and we will conduct say a lab or field experiment and use a pre-planned design for analysis and implement procedures to reduce bias and increase our findings reliability. Now the big question here is, now I have showed you 3 research designs. The big question here is, how do we choose the right design for our research problem? So, for doing that, we need to consider the nature of our problem, our research question, and the resources that are available to us. Only according to our problem, the resources that we have, and the kind of control we can have on our resources or on the questions or our population, our sample, can we decide which research design is going to be suitable for us. No. So, do we need to explore a new problem? Then we have to go for exploratory research. Do you want to describe a characteristics of a particular population? Then we'll have to go for descriptive research. Or do we want to test something? Then we have to go for experimental research. So, in short, research designs are very powerful tools that can help us study the cause and effect relationships among variables. Whether we are exploring the unknown or painting a detailed picture, or whether we are conducting experiments, whichever it is, each research design has its own unique strengths and characteristics. And by choosing the right design for our research problem, we can conduct studies that are systematic, that are rigorous, and that are impactful and worth the time that we spend. Now, data collection. We all know it is a very crucial aspect of research and analysis. Without data, can we do anything? Can we do any kind of research? Can we draw any meaningful conclusions? Make any decisions? Nothing, right? Without data, we are nothing. We cannot do anything. As human beings also, without data, we cannot do anything. Without data, we will go mad, right? So, data collection is a crucial aspect of this research and analysis. Data for our research, data in terms of this research purpose, can be of two types. What are they? Primary, secondary. We all know, we have studied it multiple times starting from our first semester. So, it is not a new knowledge, right? Data of research can be of two types, primary data and secondary data. So, first off, let us look at primary data. This is just a refresher only. We have already studied about this in detail in the first semester. So, this is just more or less like a refresher, just expanding here and there, just touching about it in terms of this research area. Okay. So, we have primary data which is collected for the first time by this organization or the researcher who is conducting the study. This is the original data, and it is specific to the research question that is being investigated. We collect primary data through various methods, like say for example observation or oral investigation or questionnaire or telephonic interviews. Like that, we can collect many data. And if you are collecting it first hand, then it is primary data. Observation method, it involves personally observing people or animals or things in their natural environment. It will give us first hand information, but the thing is, this collecting of primary data, especially this observation method, it could be time consuming. Similarly, oral investigation, that is interviews. It involves talking to people to gather information about their opinions or attitudes. It also helps to provide detailed information, but the problem is it could be biased. Questionnaire method is where we interview individuals and record their answers in a structured questionnaire format. It gives us a standardized data, but again, it can be time consuming. Similarly, telephone interviews also. It is interviews, but it is conducted over the phone, making them a very cost effective and quick method. But at the same time, it might also not be always feasible, and biases could still be there. A questionnaire is a structured set of questions which are used to elicit information from interviewees. So, it is a very common method. This questionnaire is one of the most common methods for collecting data, but you have to take care about drafting a very good questionnaire. That requires a little bit of skill from the person who is drafting the questionnaire. When you are also conducting your research, there is a 99.9% chance that you will also be using questionnaires to collect the data, correct? You will be giving out questionnaires, or you will be meeting people and asking them questions which are written down already, and whenever they say something, you will write those answers down, correct? So that is nothing but questionnaire. Now, moving on to the secondary data. This is data that is already being collected by some other agency for some other research, but they can be used by us also. But when we are using this, you have to make sure that it is useful for us, then only use it, right? So, this is data which is available in various published as well as unpublished documents, like say government publications or company reports or academic journals or even newspapers. So, the thing is, the importance here when you're talking about the secondary data is that before using the secondary data, we have to ensure that it is suitable, it is reliable, it is adequate, and it is accurate for us, for our purpose. Suitability here refers to the relevance, the reliability to consistency over time. And adequacy is sufficiency. Accuracy is correctness, right? So you have to make sure the quality of your secondary data is assured. You have to make sure, you have to do a QA, quality assurance, before using this secondary data. Alright, so now let us explore this managerial research problems which utilize attitude measurements and tools. So when we talk about this attitude measurement, we are actually looking at quantifying attitudinal data that is related to various managerial decisions like say material acquisition or marketing strategies, employee management and things like that. And this attitude measurement tool can help us understand people's attitudes towards say certain products or services or ideas which would ultimately influence their opinions and decisions when it comes to purchasing or utilizing or using, like that. However, the thing is, measuring attitudes is not always straightforward. One challenge which individuals or businesses may not fully articulate may face when we are using or when we are undertaking this attitudinal measurement is that the individuals or our samples, they may not fully articulate their attitudes. So what will happen? If I say that if somebody is doing some attitude measurement on say my preference towards Chinese food. Now I don't like Chinese food, I know that. But when somebody asks and say maybe because of group pressure or depending on some setting, or maybe I'm being asked by the manager of this Chinese restaurant who happens to be my friend, even though I hate Chinese food, I might say, yeah, it is fine, Ray. Yeah, your food is awesome, Ray. Right. So what will happen? It will affect the reliability of their research finding. But is there anything that the questionnaire, the guy who's asking this questionnaire can do about it? Unless that person knows me personally and knows that I do not prefer Chinese food, there is no way that person is going to understand whether I'm telling the truth or not, right? So that is a very big challenge we face while we are measuring this attitude, right? So what will happen in such cases is our research findings will not be accurate. It will be limited. This is a limitation of our research findings. Plus, there is this issue of whether verbalized attitudes truly reflect one's beliefs, right? That is what I said. Whether I say to you that I like Chinese food, but whether it is correct or not, that is another totally different matter, right? So another challenge is that while we can describe this attitude, predicting the behavior based on those attitudes is again trickier because we do not have such robust models. Maybe I like Chinese food, but today I might not like it. Today I don't prefer eating Chinese food. I might prefer dahi vada. Happens, right? It happens. Just because I like blue does not mean I'm going to put a blue dress every day. Correct? So that is again whether just because I know that majority of the population here likes blue and I am an automobile manufacturer, there is no guarantee that if I what you can say launch a blue colored car, everybody is going to love it, right? So again, another important aspect that we have to be aware of, which we cannot forget about, is the cost and accuracy that is involved in this measurement. And balancing all these factors is very crucial when it comes to attitude measurements, right? Now, let us delve into some of the attitude measurement scales that you have to be aware of, right? Let us look at Gutmann scale first. So, the Gutmann scale actually determines how strongly a survey respondent holds an opinion by using a series of yes or no questions or agree or disagree statements. And from these from the answers that you get for these questions, you can gauge the strength of each respondent's opinion and you can predict real life outcomes with greater accuracy. Like for example, say a Gutmann scale questionnaire for let's say for political views. For example, the first question might be, are you a registered voter? Yes or no. And the second question would be, if you are a registered voter especially, do you vote in every presidential election? Yes or no. Okay, or should voting in all elections be mandatory? Yes or no, right? So, or like for example, say if it is for students, let's say educational, mathematical ability of a students. Maybe the question could be like, are you able to count from 1 to 100? Yes or no. Are you able to perform addition? Yes or no. Are you able to perform subtraction? Yes or no. Are you able to solve multiplication? Are you able to solve division? Yes or no. So, like that, each statement will indicate a higher level of skill than the previous question. So based on that, this hierarchy of questions, we will assess how skilled that person is or how opinionated that person is in their political views or in their mathematical ability, like that. right? We can assess. That is Gutmann's scale. We have another method, that is Thurstone's equal appearing interval scale. Here, a panel of judges will rank statements by favorableness, offering again a nuanced perspective for research problems that require detailed assessment. We have another type of scale, it is called as the semantic differential scale. The semantic differential scale is a rating scale which is used to measure the attitudes and opinions of respondents towards a particular object or a person or an event or an idea by using a set of bipolar adjectives. Okay, like it two opposite ends, bipolar. Okay, it two different poles. One is north, the other is south. Kashmir and Kanyakumari kind of adjectives. Like, do you like Chinese? Or what is your opinion about Chinese food? Tasty or disgusting, right? Or are you what are you currently feeling right now? Happy or sad? Or strong or weak, or good or bad, right? Do you think let's say Mahatma Gandhi is a good man, good or bad, like that, or something like that? Those kind of bipolar adjectives we are using. So there are only two options that you're going to get, right? Whether you strongly agree or whether you strongly disagree, whether you have a favorable opinion towards that or you have an unfavorable opinion towards it. A more expanded, so things are not always bipolar. It is not like whether I agree or if I don't agree then I disagree, right? Things are not like that always. There are sometimes there are various levels of agreements or disagreements could happen. So to get to that level of nuance or much more detailed agreement, we use a Likert scale, which is mostly used almost always. What most questionnaires they employ more than any other type of attitude measurement scale. Definitely we all prefer the Likert scale. So let us look at this Likert scale. It is statements that are rated on a 5-point scale from strongly agree to strongly disagree. So again, this is a versatile and commonly used scale for various research problems. Now, the next type of measurement scale that you need to be aware of is this Q-sort technique. This is a method which involves sorting statements into preset categories and offering a structured approach for exploring these attitudes. Again, the choice of these various scales depend upon the nature of our research problems. For instance, Gutmann scale, it suits deterministic models, whereas if it is Thunderstone scale, it is great for nuanced rankings. Semantic differential scale works for exploring the nuances, and Likert's scale is best for understanding general attitudes, or this Q-sort is best for structured categorization. Additionally, multidimensional scaling can also visualize relationships between variables and make it handy for complex research problems. In essence, choosing the right attitude measurement scale is key to effectively understanding and addressing managerial research problems. Now, here let us talk about this crucial process of crafting effective questionnaires so as to gather valuable insights for our research endeavors. We will be exploring all the key steps that are involved in designing a questionnaire which can yield us reliable as well as relevant data. Firstly, it is essential to identify the research aims and the specific goals of our questionnaire. This will help in laying, or this is what lays the foundation for framing questions which align with our objectives. And next, we have to define our target respondents, ensuring that the questions that we create are tailored to the respondents' demographics or characteristics. Simply put, if your population or your research aims at getting or your target respondents are school kids, you will be putting your questions in a different format than if they were 40 or 50 years old people. Correct. Simply put, that is what. And as we develop these questions, we have to make sure that they are clear, they are concise, and they are impartial. Because any unclarity or like any lack of clarity, ambiguity, okay, or confusion in questions could be lethal for our research. It could reduce the effectiveness or the correctness of the data that we gather with that questions, because it will give out confusions to our respondents. So we have to avoid it at all cost. Pre-testing is a good way. Pre-testing questionnaires is a very good way to ensure that our questions are designed to extract such relevant information, right? And it also helps to verify collected information so that errors can be controlled. Question types also play a very important role in this questionnaire design. While multiple choice questions offer structured responses, we have another type of question, right? Open-ended questions, which allow for more comprehensive insights into our feelings and attitudes. But the problem here is, if it is an open-ended question, if people can write, if you're just giving a blank box in which people can write anything, then it is time consuming for you to extract that actual data, to extract the feelings and things like that from those paragraphs or sentences, rather than if you were to give them with multiple choice questions. So there are different types of questions, right? But make sure you have that ideal mix of both open as well as closed-ended questions. Now, let us walk through the example of designing a questionnaire for, let's say, a market survey that is aimed at understanding the buying behavior of green products. You know what are green products? Organic products, natural products, they are green products, right? So if you are to understand the buying behavior of green products, then what kind of a questionnaire you will have to create? Definitely, you can start with your demographic questions, right? What is your age? What is the gender? Or what is your purchasing frequency? How often do you purchase green products? What are the motivations, right? What motivates you to purchase green products? Whether it is environmental concerns or health concerns, or whether it is social responsibility or something else, right? What are the factors that influence your decisions to purchase these green products? What types of products do you purchase? Are you purchasing food or beverages, or personal care products, or cleaning products, or something else, right? And how much more are you willing to pay for such green natural products compared to the chemical or the non-natural manufactured synthetic products? Maybe 0 to 10%, or you are fine even if it is 40% more priced, right? Or how do you usually purchase these green products? What are the barriers that you have in purchasing green products, like lack of availability or high cost, or you don't trust in this green claims, whatever it is, and whether you recommend green products to others or not, right? So all these things are examples of questions that you could put up, right? Basically, you will need to have some kind of idea about the demographics of your respondents. What is their purchasing behavior? What are the motivations? What are the barriers? Things like that. These are the basic things which come up in a questionnaire. Okay. Now, remember, maintaining a very friendly and professional tone throughout your questionnaire design is very important, as well as while you are administering it. Why? Because it will ensure that your respondents feel comfortable as well as encouraged to provide you with honest feedback. And the more honest they are, the more correct your data is going to be. So with careful planning, thoughtful execution, our questionnaires also can serve as valuable tools for gathering invaluable insights for our purpose, right? So while you are doing your report, while you are undertaking your project, as well as undertaking any kind of activity in your organization, in your future managerial roles, I'm sure you guys will make wonderful questionnaires, right? So, sampling. Sampling is like taking a sneak peek into this big box of goodies to understand what's inside without having to look at every single item, right? We also sample. Like when my mom makes chips, we sample ever too often to see whether the salt is right, whether it has the crisp is right, right? So we don't eat every piece of chips that she is making to make sure that, right? If I were to do that, my mom would definitely kick me out of the kitchen, right? But rather, we take a small sample to understand whether everything is proper, right? That is what we are doing in sampling in our research designs also. Rather than having to look at everyone in our population, we choose a sample and we try to understand what the population might be with that sample. It is a very smart way to study a large group without having to talk to every single member, right? So imagine, okay, you are a scientist. Why not imagine? What is the problem in imagining, right? You are a scientist and you are studying the behavior of penguins in Antarctica. Now, you can't possibly interview every penguin, right? That is where the sampling comes in. Instead of talking to every penguin, you will select a few penguins from different groups or different strata to represent the entire penguin population. Now, this process of picking a smaller group to represent a larger group is called sampling. Now, there are different ways to sample also. One common method is simple random sampling. What is simple random sampling? Here, every penguin has an equal chance of being picked, just like picking names out of a hat. Okay, that is simple random sampling. You think of the lottery draws. Every lottery ticket has equal chance of getting picked up. right? Now there are differences in this also, like with replacement and without replacement. That is like if you draw one lottery ticket, okay, you purchased one Kerala state lottery, you draw one lottery ticket, you got first prize. Now rather than discarding that lottery ticket, okay, if you generally what we do, we discard that lottery ticket so that what you can say, and we pick it up from the remaining lot, correct? So that is called without replacement. Now just imagine you got first prize, that lottery ticket, instead of putting it in the dustbin, they put it back into the lottery basket, into that lottery hat. Now you stand another chance to win second prize, right? That is with replacement. That is whether the ticket, whether that sample was returned back into the sampling set or not. That is with or without replacement, simple random sampling. Okay. Now another method is stratified sampling. Here you divide in our case we were talking about penguins, right? So we divide our penguins into groups based on things like say age or species, and then we randomly pick one from each group. Now that is not the only thing, there is more. There is also cluster sampling. Here you pick entire groups of penguins at once, like choosing whole families instead of individual members. And there is systematic sampling also, where you pick everybody where you pick samples at regular intervals, like every 10th penguin or every 5th penguin, like that. Now sampling is not always perfect, okay? Sometimes researchers might pick penguins that are easier to reach or more friendly, right? So that will what will happen then? It will lead to bias. At other times we may not be able to talk to a certain group of penguins at all, right? If they are living in remote areas, then definitely we may not even have a chance to get our hands on them. So these are some challenges which researchers also face when we are sampling. Sometimes we will not be able to get a hold on say certain categories of samples or certain people. We can only imagine what it would be, right? So overall, whatever it is, sampling is definitely without doubt a very clever idea or a clever way for researchers to learn about big groups without having to talk to every single member. That is quite clear, I hope. So it is like taking a sneak peek into the world of our population without having to pack our bags and start talking to everybody. Okay, so that much I hope you are clear about sampling and sampling designs. Now let's talk about data presentation. Data presentation is like telling a story, okay, but with numbers. Imagine you have a bunch of data about your favorite ice cream flavors. Now you could just list them all out, definitely, but it could be a bit confusing, correct? Instead, if you organize this data into categories, like say chocolate ice cream, I like so. I like my chocolate ice cream to be dense, I like it to be more chocolatey, I like it with some chocolate sauce dripped on it, okay, or maybe vanilla or strawberry, like that. If you categorize it, then this kind of categorized, organized way of presenting data is called nominal data classification. Why? Because it is all about categories, okay, nominal data collection. But let's say you also want to know which flavor is the most popular. Then you can rank the flavors from the most liked to the least liked. This is called ordinal data classification. Why? Because of ranking. If you are talking about categories, categories nominal, ranking ordinal. You have to be very clear about it. Why? Because it is also important when you are actually working. Okay, what is nominal, what is ordinal, what is interval, what is ratio, you need to be aware of it because it comes in handy. These are technical terms which you will often find in being used in your managerial activities day in and day out once you start acting the role of manager. So you need to be aware of the difference. When ranking is in the picture, it is ordinal. When classification is in the picture, it is nominal. Now let us talk about interval data classification. This is like measuring things on a scale. Like for example, if you want to know the temperature outside, you will use a thermometer, correct? And the numbers on this thermometer will show the temperature on the scale. That is interval data classification. Finally, we also have ratio data classification. This is similar to this interval data classification or interval data, but it has a true 0 point. Like for example, if you want to measure how much ice cream you ate, you will use a scale and the weight will definitely start at 0. Today I did not eat any ice cream, so it is 0. Tomorrow I ate 1 scoop of ice cream, maybe that 1 scoop of ice cream was say 100 grams. Okay, so then it is a such scale, such data classification scale is called as the ratio scale. And now once you have classified your data, we have to present it. So for presenting it, what can you use? You can use tables, you can use graphs to make your data easier to understand. Tables are like organized lists of data, while graphs are visual representations. For example, you could make bar charts to show which ice cream flavors were most popular, or you could make a pie chart to show the percentage of people who like each flavor. Right? So the key here is to choose the right presentation device for your data and for your audience. If you are presenting complex data, maybe a table could be better. But if you are trying to show the trends or patterns, then you might choose a graph, which could be more effective than a table because it will provide a more visualized representation. Now, so whether you are presenting data about ice cream flavors or anything else, what you have to remember is you have to organize it, you have to classify it, and you have to choose this right presentation device so that you can tell that story that you are trying to tell your audience much more effectively. So now, non-parametric. Non-parametric tests are like the versatile tools in your statistical toolbox. Imagine you are trying to analyze data, but you are not able to fit that data into any neat assumptions. Okay? Neat assumptions like that your data is not following the normal curve or things like that, it is not showing like that. Then what will you do? How will you analyze the data? That is where non-parametric tests come into picture. The biggest difference between a parametric and a non-parametric test is in the assumptions. A parametric test, it assumes that your data follows a specific distribution, usually normal, right? Or maybe it assumes that there is a pattern, there is a trend into your data. But non-parametric tests have no such assumptions. They do not make any assumption about how the data is distributed. So these non-parametric tests are a bit more flexible. They can handle a wider range of situations. Non-parametric tests are also used if you have a smaller sample size or if the non-parametric tests are your to go, right? So they are very great for dealing with categorical or even ordinal data. That is, your categorical means the nominal data or your ordinal data, but which does not fit the continuous mold, which is not like, maybe it is not a normal distribution. There is no particular, it is not fitting any particular predefined curves, right? So let us break down the steps that are involved in these non-parametric tests. First, you have to state your null hypothesis as well as your alternate hypothesis. This is what you are trying to test. Right? This hypothesis is the, what is the meaning of hypothesis? Hypothesis is your, what you can say, the supposition or the proposed explanation that is made on the basis of the limited evidence or your intuitions, right? It is the starting point for any further investigation, right? It is the basis of reasoning without any assumption of its truth. We do not know whether what we are saying is true or not. We want to find out what we think is true. We have a hunch, we have an assumption, or we think that certain statements might be true, but we do not know whether it is so. So we are finding out, we are researching on whether it is true or not. Then that statement on which you are conducting the research is your hypothesis. Okay, so the first is you have to state your null hypothesis and your alternate hypothesis, right? Next, you have to choose the right kind of non-parametric test for your particular situation, because there are different tests for different scenarios. So you have to see which is the best type of non-parametric test for your particular scenario, and you have to choose that. And then you have to collect data which will help you in using that non-parametric test and finding the result, and you have to calculate the test statistics. This is the number. That number that you get after you put it in the test, right, is what tells you whether your hypothesis is correct or whether it is not, whether your results are statistically significant or not. And after that, you can determine the p-value that is associated with your test statistics, which will tell you the probability of getting your results by chance. Now, and you can compare the p-value to your significance level, which is usually set as 0.05, and if the p-value is less than your significance level, then you will reject the null hypothesis and you will say that your alternate hypothesis is correct. Otherwise, you will say that your null hypothesis is wrong, null hypothesis you will accept, and your alternate hypothesis you will reject. Finally, you will interpret your results and you will draw your conclusions. This is where you make sense of all the numbers and all the statistics to answer your particular research question. Okay. Now, there are different types of non-parametric tests for different scenarios. We said that, like for example, if you are comparing the median of a sample to say a hypothesized value, then you can use Wilcoxon signed rank test. And if you are comparing the medians of say two independent samples, then you might want to use the Mann-Whitney U test. And if you are comparing the medians of more than let's say two independent samples, then you might want to use Krusal-Wallis test. Right? So whether your data is normally distributed or not, non-parametric tests are there to help you analyze your data effectively and draw meaningful conclusions. Now, association. Association in data analysis actually refers to the connections between variables, particularly how changes in an independent variable could affect the dependent variable. And multivariate analysis steps in when we are dealing with several variables at once. And this will help us untangle the complexity and understand the relationships between these multiple variables more comprehensively. Now, one of the powerful techniques in multivariate analysis is the regression analysis. This method dives deep into the relationship between one dependent variable and multiple independent variables. It is like fitting a puzzle, trying to find the best fitting equation which explains how these variables could be interacting with each other. When you have got more than one independent variable that is influencing the dependent variable, then that is when multiple regression analysis will come into play. Another powerful tool in this multivariate analysis toolkit is the discriminant analysis. Imagine you have groups, okay, and you want to classify those groups based on certain characteristics. Then discriminant analysis will help you figure out which variables are most significant in making those distinctions. It is sort of like finding the key features that can set the groups apart. Then there is factor analysis, which is like streamlining your data. It helps condense a bunch of variables into a very few key dimensions, making it very easier to grasp the underlying factors that are driving certain outcomes. For instance, let's say you're studying retail chains, okay, and you have data on various aspects like say service quality or product assortment. Factor analysis can help identify the main factors which shape the customer's perceptions. Now coming to interpreting the results of these multivariate analysis. This is where the real magic happens. It is like deciphering a very complex code to understand how each variable influences the outcome. With regression analysis, you can predict how changes in the independent variable will affect your dependent variable. Whereas discriminant analysis, it will help you identify the key variables for classification, whereas factor analysis will reveal the underlying dimensions that drive certain outcomes. In the business world, basically, multivariate analysis, particularly this regression analysis, is a game changer. For instance, in demand analysis, this regression analysis can help you uncover factors which drive demand, like say price or the consumer's income and even preferences. And by understanding these relationships, businesses can make informed decisions or even predict their future demand trends. So whether you are unraveling the complexities of consumer behavior or predicting market trends, multivariate analysis equips you with the tools to decode this intricate web of variables and understand this bigger picture. It is very crucial that researchers uphold ethical principles throughout their work to ensure there is integrity and credibility of their research outcomes. Understanding and adhering to the principles like honesty, objectivity, integrity, and respect for intellectual property not only safeguards the well-being of research subjects but also contributes to the overall trustworthiness of the research process. Moreover, being mindful of potential risks that are associated and limitations that are associated with research ethics is essential for researchers to mitigate any kind of adverse consequences and uphold the rights and dignities of all involved parties in this research. This overview, there is a, what you can say, to give you an overview of the steps that are involved in ensuring research ethics. First and foremost, you need to identify your problem. You need to go for literature review. You have to collect data and you have to report, right? That is how research happens. Now, at every stage of this research, you have to have ethics, right? And research ethics is what provides us with a clear roadmap for following ethical considerations in every step of this research. Now, there are a few misconducts that could happen when it comes to research, right? There could be few misconducts in research. So, some of the misconducts, what are you familiar of? Plagiarism, right? You are all familiar of plagiarism, right? It is a big issue, and most everybody is now using plagiarism checkers. Similarly, another misconduct and an unethical thing that can happen in researches is misinterpreting results, and even confidentiality breaches, leaking private information, personally identifiable information. I gave you for your research, but you breached it. You gave it to somebody else, and now they are misusing it. It is a confidentiality breach. It is a ethical misconduct when it comes to researchers. So these are only a few ethical misconducts. There are many more, but since this is a rapid roundup, I am just giving you these 3 main misconducts. At least these you should be aware of. Now it is time for us to talk about the art of report writing and presentation. We all know it is a very essential skill which extends far beyond our textbooks, impacting various aspects of our professional life. If you do not know, then I am telling you, right? It is a very important skill that you must possess in order to do good in your career as a manager. So let us roll up our sleeves and delve into the nuances of creating these compelling reports that make a lasting impact on our stakeholders. Now, reports come in different shapes and sizes. Each report serves a unique purpose. First off, we have the informational or descriptive reports. These are like the bread and butter of reporting, which provides essential information on a particular topic, whether it is describing a process or an event or a situation. Then there are analytical reports. These are a step further. These go a step further and analyze data to make recommendations or decisions. You can think of them as the problem solvers, dissecting information to guide action. Next up, we have progress reports. These keep everyone in the loop about the progress of a particular project or a program, highlighting all the achievements, the challenges, and even the future plans. We have another type of report, which is called feasibility reports. They come into play when we need to evaluate whether a project or a program is feasible or not. They analyze the numbers and weigh risks and assess the benefits to help make informed decisions. Last but not least, we also have the recommendation reports. So these are about providing recommendations for a particular course of action and is backed by thorough analysis and justification. Now let us talk about how we can craft an amazing report. So it all starts with a very much solid proposal, right? Project proposal. You are also supposed to submit a project proposal. It is called a project synopsis for you, right? So a report, crafting a stellar report starts with a solid proposal, a synopsis. You need to identify the purpose. You have to define the scope and understand your audience, conduct thorough research, organize your information effectively, and of course, you have to write the report using the very clear and concise language. But the work does not stop there, right? Once you have drafted your report, now it is our time for the all-important review and edit process. You will want to ensure that your report aligns with the purpose. It is well structured. It uses appropriate language and at the appropriate tone also, and presents accurate data. It provides you with sound recommendations and conclusions. So remember, reports, they are very powerful tools of communication as well as decision making. They have the potential to inform, to persuade, and even inspire action. So I hope you will all aim for excellence in our report writing endeavors, right? If you guys are confused about how you can write your reports or how you can go by creating your synopsis, do not worry. There is an MMPP 1 dedicated project playlist giving A to Z information about everything in with regards to your project, right? In MBA, you can go check that out. Okay. Now we saw that reports are fundamental in conveying information effectively, whether it is for our academic purpose or professional or even personal purposes. So now let us explore what are the different parts of a report and how we can ensure that they are structured and formatted correctly. First, let us talk about the essential components of a report. You need to have a title page. This page sets the stage. It features the title of our report, the author's name, the submission date, and any other pertinent details that are required. Then you need to have the table of contents, right? You can think of it as a roadmap guiding readers through the various sections and subsections of your report. Imagine if your course material did not have table of contents, it will be very hectic, right? You'll have to create a table of contents. So this table of contents, it serves as our roadmap. Then we need an executive summary. This is what you can say, it summarizes the report's purpose, the scope, and the key findings or recommendations. It is again a small sneak peek for the busy readers. You need to have an introduction. Here you will provide background information on the topic and outline the report's purpose as well as the scope. We need to have a methodology section which explains the methods that are used to gather as well as analyze data, ensuring transparency and credibility. You need to have report the results. You have to present the findings in the results section using data or tables or graphs to support our points. We have a section for discussion where we interpret the results and delve into their significance, offering insights as well as analysis. You need to have a conclusion where you summarize the main findings and key takeaways from the report, and even recommendations. It provides actionable recommendations based on our findings, guiding for the next steps or courses of action for further research. Then we also need to have references section where we will cite the sources and give credit wherever it is due and provide credibility for our work. Now, when it comes to typing up your report, it is very much essential to provide clear instructions to your typist, or if it is you, then you have to have that clear instruction. You will have to ensure there is consistency as well as professionalism in your formatting, and so for that these are few guidelines that you can follow. It is always better to stick to a standard font like Times New Roman and a readable font size, typically 12 point. Okay, maintain 1 inch margins on all sides of the page for a very clean and professional look. Use single spacing within a paragraph. That is, you give one space within a paragraph, double spacing between paragraphs. You hit enter twice. That is double spacing. Okay, between paragraphs for readability. And employ clear headings and subheadings to organize your content logically. Do not forget to include any page numbers or a table of contents to help readers navigate your report easily. And when you are editing your report, you will have to make use of a copy reading and proofreading symbols to catch any errors to ensure clarity and accuracy. Review the report for grammar, for any kind of spelling or punctuation errors, and use these symbols to indicate necessary changes. So with these tips in mind, you will be well equipped to tackle your next report with confidence. I'm sure you will all be writing stellar reports for your projects, right? Now, being able to present our thoughts and our ideas effectively to various stakeholders is again another key skill for any manager. In fact, it is a key skill for anybody, whether you are a manager or not. So let us break down the key components of presentation skills and how we can use audio-visual aids to enhance our delivery. First, let us talk about the components of presentation. Right? You need to have good verbal communication. It will involve using language effectively, including the tone as well as the pace, to convey our messages clearly with confidence. You need to have non-verbal communication, that is your body language, your facial expressions, your gestures, all these things, they can speak volumes about the confidence with which you are presenting your findings. So use that non-verbal communication, use them to support and reinforce the message that you are giving verbally. Audience engagement, interact with your audience, keep them engaged, keep them interested, encourage questions, invite any kind of participation, tailor your presentations to their needs. Time management, respect your audience's time by managing the allotted time effectively. Ensure that you cover all key points without rushing through or going over the time. Right? Now, let us explore the elements of a compelling presentation. You need to have an introduction. Start strong with an attention-grabbing opening. Provide an overview of your presentation. Outline your objectives to set the stage. Right? Then you will have the body of the presentation, where you will dive into the main content of your presentation, which is organized into clear sections or topics. You can use stories or you can use examples, data to support your points and keep your audience engaged. Then coming to the last section, that is conclusion. Summarize your key points, restate all the objectives, and end with a very clear call to action or a takeaway message to leave a lasting impression. Right? And here is a good time to take any questions also. Now let us talk about the usefulness of these audio-visual aids, or AV aids as we say in our presentation. These audiovisual aids, they can clarify complex information and make it easier for your audience to grasp, right? It enhances understanding. It reinforces key points with visuals or multimedia to help the audience remember as well as retain information. That is, it increases retention. They also help to capture the audience's attention with visually stimulating content and keep them engaged throughout the presentation. It will help it in engaging the audience. And while you're preparing these audiovisual aids, some suggestions that you can keep in mind is keep it simple, right? Use clear language, use simple graphics, minimal text to avoid any kind of overwhelming your audience, right? Choose the right medium for your message, whether it is slides or videos or audio. Whatever is the most appropriate media to convey the things that you are saying, you choose that, right? Ensure all audiovisual equipment is in working order and tested before your presentation to avoid any kind of technical hiccups, right? Last, let us discuss the care that you should take while you are presenting your report. Be prepared, right? Rehearse your presentation, familiarize yourself with the material, build confidence. This will help in building confidence and ensuring a smooth delivery of your report's presentation. Connect with your audience, invite questions, encourage participation, create a very interactive and dynamic presentation. That way you will keep your audience engaged rather than them dozing off and skipping to another video like you might have done. If you have not done, then kudos to you. Thank you so much for keeping up with my boring presentation, right? Now, use appropriate language. Tailor your language to your audience. Okay, use clear, concise language which is easy for your audience to understand. Maybe you have Shashi Tharoor level of English, but if you are talking to people who are not that level of, who know that level of English, then please do not use that, right? Now, use this audio-visual aids very effectively. Integrate the audio-visual aids seamlessly into your presentations so that they help enhance the understanding. But make sure you do not rely on them too heavily. Okay. Respect your audience's time by sticking to the allotted time and conveying all key points without rushing. And by mastering these presentation skills and leveraging these audiovisual aids effectively, definitely I'm sure you will be well equipped to deliver impactful as well as memorable presentations, right? So, with that, we have covered all the major aspects of research methodology for management decisions as stipulated in MMPC 15 of IGNOU MBA as per your new syllabus. Thank you so much for tuning into Anu's classroom. Now, as I said earlier, while we began this rapid roundup session, if you want to delve deeper into each of these units, this was a quick roundup, which was a quick overview, a very quick revision, ideal for you as you start studying or just to quickly brush up on topics, whatever was covered. That is what the session was meant for. If you want to go for a drilled down, detailed explanation per unit, then definitely do check out the MMPC 15 playlist. I have a dedicated playlist in the channel. You can find it in the playlist section. Go through that. There I have delved deeper into each of the units, right? So thank you very much. Until I see you all, I hope you have subscribed to the channel, right? So until I see you all in the next session, thank you very much. Have a great learning time.